We're now shifting our focus to a CNN News 18 exclusive, and this is a scoop that we're getting to you of what really the probe of the Kerala blast has thrown up till now. This is what we're picking up. We'll get Arunama to help us understand the sequence of events as well. We're understanding scrutiny of the crime scene in the Kochi Convention Centre is now over. Agency sources are also now telling us that at least 5 litres of petrol in plastic pouches in fact had been used for each of the bomb. Jute bags used to pack the IED, radio frequency devices used to trigger the explosion. A jute bag was picked for very specific reasons. It had the packed IED specifically kept under the chairs, covered with a cloth so that it catches the fire faster, which means the entire intention was to burn down the entire convention centre. So those are details that we're picking up as far as the probe of the Kerala blast is concerned. Remember, this happened at a convention centre in Ernakulam. This happened on Sunday. Unfortunately, this has also now resulted into a political war of words. But first, let's bring in our colleague Arunama, who in fact is getting us this exclusive information for us to understand what is the kind of material that was used as far as the IED is concerned and what really was the intention. Arunama, since yesterday you've been reporting on this, which now in fact proves this, that the idea was to burn down the entire convention centre, also to ensure that there are massive burns on the people who get caught in this fire as well. This is what we saw on the first death that was almost unidentifiable. Help us understand the sequence of events that you've managed to piece together in terms of what the probe is already throwing up.
It's very clear that a lot of thought had gone into the selection of material for these IEDs. Usually, and this was what the initial information from Kerala police was, that a tiffin box bomb was used. But now, since no shards of a tiffin box or a container of similar material as a tiffin has been found at the crime scene, they are now veering to the view that the reason the tiffin box was not used is because when you use a tiffin bomb, you use the metal of the tiffin also as splinter. When it bursts open, it cuts through the skin, it cuts through the humans who are present there. But in this case, that was not the idea. There was no splinter found at the spot. So there were no nuts, no bolts. Usually when IEDs are utilized by radical groups like Lashkar, like Jaish, even ISIS-inspired people, they use splinters. And in this case, there was nothing that was found. What was very clear that this was manufactured, this was put together as an incendiary device because Martin wanted to burn down the entire place. That was the idea. Why are investigators saying that? Selection of a jute bag. Jute is easily inflammable, so it was a jute bag that was selected. Inside that bag, at least 5 litres of petrol in plastic pouches was packed. There were 4 such IEDs. They had radio frequency devices, mobile phones, wires, circuit. A mobile call was utilized to complete the circuit and set off the charge. How were these IEDs placed? If you see the video from the convention center, there are rows and rows of chairs.
Yeah.
Some plastic chairs, some covered with those cloth covers that you usually see in banquet areas. Specifically, the cloth-covered chairs were used to put the IEDs, the jute bags, under them so that the cloth catches fire and fuels the fire that was raging on. Plastic would have melted. It would have not aided the cause that Martin had. So it shows his clarity of thought. And he has told police that he saw YouTube videos. That's how he came up with this idea. And he's telling police everything possibly they want to know about procurement, about how the selection of material, about how these IEDs were put together. He's very clear. He wanted to burn down the place. Petrol is easily available. The rest of the material also easily available from his neighborhood.
Arunama, as you're rightly pointing out, what becomes very, very clear is that this was well thought out. Initial information is also telling us that Martin Dominic, in fact, had started planning all of this during the COVID-19 pandemic. But still, the larger question remains, are we going to see this only as a lone wolf attack, or is there a possibility of others involved? The reason that I'm asking this is, yes, Dominic today has gone forward and told the investigating agencies that I saw a lot of tutorials and videos on YouTube, but is it possible that he learned all of this, he could put together these trigger devices all by himself?
Well, it is possible because in the past also, when investigators have caught hold of these lone wolf attackers, most of them radicalized following the ISIS ideology, they have confessed to learning the trick of making these bombs or assembling these IEDs via World Wide Web. Many of these tutorials apparently are available freely on popular platforms like YouTube also. So this is dangerous if people like Martin can just go onto such social media platforms and onto the World Wide Web and download bomb making tutorials. That has been a concern in the security establishment for some years now. This only adds to that fear. But the question that you're asking, whether this was lone wolf, whether there were other people helping Martin, is exactly what I have been asking police officials. And they say so far, there is nothing to suggest that there was anybody else, any group or any group of individuals who were helping Martin. So far, it looks like it was his idea. The reason that he thought of this is because he was unhappy with what Jehovah Witness was teaching. He wanted to ensure that they're taught a lesson. And he's even telling police how he really put this together. His background in a factory in Gulf has also
Yeah.
come in handy. He's in putting all of this together. Interrogation, of course, is going on. Police would want to interrogate him. Intelligence agencies would want to question him. If at a later stage somebody else, some other group's role comes up, one can't say anything. But at this stage, officials are convinced that Martin was acting alone, independently. There was nobody who was part of this conspiracy.
Okay, Arunima, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Keep tracking all those developments for us.